Barbara Gordon's ready for a fresh start. She's packing her bags, crossing the bridge, and heading to Gotham's coolest neighborhood, Burnside. And when a freak fire burns up her costume and gear, Babs has the chance to become a whole new Batgirl. But she barely slips on her DIY costume before she starts trending as Gotham's first viral vigilante, and attracting a new wave of enemies who want her social media spotlight for themselves. This Bat's done living in the shadows, but will the bright lights of Burnside burn her for good? Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode, another edition of A Week in Geekdom here on YouTube. This time is a 3-in-1 video. Why do I say that? Because I am reviewing Burnside Babs, Batgirl of Burnside, whatever you want to call it. It is the soft reboot within the new 52 of the Batgirl title. Of course, I am referring to these 3 trades right here, volume 1, 2, and 3, from the issues 35 all the way up to 52 before the Rebirth era began. Now, I gotta be honest with you guys, I wanted to review Batgirl Rebirth, but I needed to finish this run first. I had read a little bit of the first 2 trades, but I hadn't finished the whole thing, and I wanted to talk about this version because this is the precursor to what you are going to see in the Rebirth era, and I will do a review on that very soon. But first, I wanted to share some quick thoughts on the Batgirl run from the New 52. I love the beginning stuff with Gail Simone. It was one of my favorite titles in the New 52. It was dark, it was gritty, it dealt with PTSD in a very unique way. Of course, Barbara being a survivor of the Joker attack that led her to become Oracle. Barbara Gordon has always been one of my favorite comic book characters. I love the character of Batgirl. She's always been fun, energetic, lively. And when she became Oracle, she got a new lease on life. Out of tragedy, she embraced it and became something even cooler. The character of Oracle was always something really fun. I love hacker and techno whiz characters. I think they're really fun. And with the New 52, she went under the knife and got this experimental surgery to fix up the spinal cord. She wasn't completely paralyzed. It was more like a laceration of sorts. So she got this thing done on her spine so she can walk again, and of course she became Batgirl once more. So after 34 issues and 2 annuals, if I'm not mistaken, so with issue 34 they decided to reboot, or soft reboot as they say, the character of Batgirl, give her a new direction for new readers, and I completely understand that. Sure, it was a little bit too dark for some readers, and with a character like Batgirl that's always been sort of emblematic with the adventure of being a superhero, a costume vigilante, and just kicking butt and having fun while you're doing it. To me, she exemplifies that. The character of Babs, you know, she fights elegantly like a ballerina. She is super smart, funny, and unlike Batman and the Robins, she doesn't go through a lot of tragedy, except for the whole Killing Joke part. But yeah, she doesn't really go through a whole tragedy. So, I get it. I understand why you wanted to do a reboot, a soft reboot. Plus, you're going to get new readers, and you want to bring your A game. And I think they 80% nailed it. I'll get to why in a minute. You see, what they did when they came up with this image right here, they stripped it down to the bare necessities. You have Batgirl moving away from the main Gotham City, and she moved into the Burnside area, which is a lot trendier, more cosmopolitan, more social media aware, and all that stuff. It was very reminiscent of a high-profile city, and she got younger. They did something that I was not a fan of, and that is my first complaint with the first book. This calm, cool, collected character that she was really smart and really knew what she was doing, now all of a sudden is back in college. She's partying around, waking up super late in the day after a massive hangover, and it's just a little bit uncharacteristic in my opinion. I think they went a little bit too far. To take such a drastic change was really was really jarring, in my opinion. The story involves, I think it was Hula something. It was sort of this Instagram type thing, Twitter / website. You know, they can't say the name because of the copyright issues, but it's something like that. It's this new social app that everybody's using, and it's very contemporary. The problem with that is that it can get dated pretty fast. When you do stuff that it's you're trying to talk about memes or stuff that's relevant in the year that it's written, most of the time it's going to be dated and you're going to cringe later on. And that's what I got when I reread this, because I had it in singles and I gave those away and I got the 3 trades. So when I reread all of this, certain parts of it, I was like, really? That's what we're going for? You get a character like Dagger Type, which caused some minor controversy because the original issue came across as a little bit transphobic. And I didn't read that one. I read this version instead because they actually redid the issue and eliminated some of the controversy. They changed the dialogue, so I'm interested in going back and picking up that issue to see the changes between the original version and this trade paperback version. But nonetheless, Dagger Type is not one of the best villains, simply because I hate carbon copies of your heroes as like, oh, I'm just like you, but I'm the bad guy. I don't like that. And Dagger sort of kind of wanted to do that, but put a more glammed up version of Batgirl. You also did get the biker twins, as you can see right here, which was pretty cool, very anime inspired, which reminded me that to tell you that Babs Tarr on art was spectacular. She is an amazing artist and so bright and so joyful with her pencils. Everything's so bright, colorful, energetic, really dynamic, and she brings that flair, that gusto that people like. I like colorful comic books, and this book brings that to the table. Really cool stuff, in my opinion. Cameron Stewart and Brendan Fletcher do a good job, but unfortunately the first volume, like I mentioned, is a little superficial on most parts. You get introductions to side characters that you don't really care for that much, except for one character in particular. The rest are kind of, okay, whatever. They feel like you're watching a movie, like standalone characters that don't really matter to the overall mythos, if that makes any sense. It isn't until volume 2 that things pick up with Bunny Cop Batman, and if you don't know who Bunny Cop Batman is, it's James Gordon. If you want to know why that is, you're going to have to check out New 52 Batman run from Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder. I really like the dynamic between the two characters. Of course, you got Gordon and Barbara facing off. They don't know that they're each other at the beginning, and I thought that was pretty cool. Basically, Jim is doing the RoboCop Batman thing because Batman's MIA, and it's sort of this Civil War-esque thing where he is being ordered to arrest any unsanctioned superhero in the streets, so he comes into conflict with Batgirl, and that was actually pretty fun. It's not until this volume, mid-volume, where things really pick up with a storyline that I really liked, and I want to talk to you guys a little bit about. It's called The Gladius Objective. It was this crossover type story with Grayson, Batwoman, Gotham Academy. It was really well done, and you get a whole roster of characters showing up and helping out Batgirl, trying to stop these guys, Gladius, from acquiring the Negahedron thingy. It's basically a doomsday type weapon, and you get to see a lot of artistic changes, and one of my favorites is Bengal. Bengal is amazing, one of my favorite artists, and I wish we could get a full-time Batgirl book with Bengal, because he is just amazing. I mean, seriously, look at that right there. He also does an Endgame issue, which was a tie-in for Batman Endgame. Easily the best issue, or one of the best issues that I've read with Batgirl. It's a silent issue, really cool stuff, and it just shows you the power of artistry and what it can do without dialogue. I really recommend that story. So yeah, you get a whole bunch of different artists on the Gladius Objective, so I thought that was actually pretty fun. And even people like David LaFuente, which I had no idea had crossed over to DC, I was like, yeah, I want to read a superhero book with David. He is pretty cool. One of the characters that gets introduced in Volume 2 is the Velvet Tiger. Sort of the equivalent of Poison Ivy getting into the animal rights instead of plants. You get something like that. But it's not a noteworthy villain like some other characters, because aside from the Rogues Gallery, from Batman's Rogues Gallery, Batgirl has never had a huge roster of villains, and I appreciate what Stewart, Fletcher, and everybody did in this run to include villains for Barbara, and they're pretty good. Maybe a couple years from now they'll come back and somebody will do a fun twist on these characters and knock it out of the park. They're really fun villains. They're sassy, they're funny, and sometimes just plain goofy, but that's okay, because this is a book that is brimming with optimism and really butt-kicking action that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy. If you've never read it, I do recommend it. The beginning portion is a little bit slow and kind of cringeworthy for me, but later on it picks up steam and actually gets really good with the Gladius objective. With you got wedding issues, you got Luke Fox dating Batgirl, that was different, and then with volume 3 you get the character, and I think I'm gonna butcher the name, but I'm gonna try it anyways. You do get the introduction of the Fugue. I think that's the name. It's this guy right there. One of the coolest villains. I really liked the whole idea of it being like this psychological villain, and it goes all the way to the very beginning of the book and dealing with the whole PTSD and Survivor's Guilt and all that stuff that the New 52 run tried to get across. You know, her surviving such traumatic events, and this character gets into your head and twists up your memory and all that stuff. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Great art, great writing, and the series just gets better and better as you keep reading. Although for some people, you might find it a little bit too go-lucky, superficial, but I had fun. It's not the best read in the world, but like I mentioned, midway through the end, it's solid. And yeah, it's my favorite superhero lady kicking ass and taking names, and I can't recommend it enough. I cannot wait to talk about Batgirl Rebirth, because I love the art and the creative team behind that one. But yeah, it all starts with this Batgirl Burnside, if you will. Let me know down below what you thought of the 3 trades, or the Burnside trilogy, if you will, of books. You can like, comment, subscribe here at A Week in Geekdom. We are very close. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers. I'm really excited. As always, you can follow me on your favorite social media platform. Just type A Week in Geekdom, and I'm there for you guys. Alright, I gotta go. I'll catch you on our next episode. With the issues 46, all the... 46. Bitch. It's not 46.